Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and today we have a really exciting topic that many English learners dream about how to start thinking in English.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia. And yes, Jason, this topic is so interesting because many learners always ask, when will I start thinking in English? Or how can I stop translating in my head?
Exactly. I remember when I was learning English, I used to translate every single word from my own language. It was slow, confusing, and sometimes very funny. But after some time, something changed. I started thinking in English naturally.
That's a big moment for every English learner because when you start thinking in English, you speak faster, understand better, and feel more confident. It's like your brain switches to a new mode, the English mode.
Yes, that's true. And in today's episode, Julia and I will share our real stories, how we both started thinking in English, what helped us, and what mistakes we made along the way.
We'll also give you some simple tips and small daily habits you can try after listening. So if you've ever wanted to think directly in English and not depend on translation, this episode is just for you.
All right, let's get started. I'll begin with my own story, how my journey with thinking in English really began. So, let me tell you how it all started. When I began learning English, I was just like most learners. I knew some basic words and grammar. But every time I wanted to say something, I had to translate it in my head. I remember one time I wanted to say, "I'm hungry," but in my native language, the sentence was longer and different. I started thinking, okay, what's the English word for this? How do I say it correctly? And by the time I finished thinking, the moment was already gone.
I think every learner can relate to that. It's so common at the beginning.
Yes, it was frustrating because I wanted to speak naturally, but my brain just wouldn't switch fast enough. For many months, I was translating word by word. I could understand English songs or movies only if I read subtitles. But then, something interesting happened. I started watching short English videos every day, just small clips about things I liked, like travel and food. I listened carefully, and I started to hear the language differently.
So that's when your brain started to connect words directly to meaning, not to translation, right?
Exactly. One day, I realized I was walking outside and thinking, "Oh, the weather is nice today," and I said it in English without planning it. That was the first moment I noticed I was actually thinking in English. It felt amazing, like a new door opened in my mind.
That's such a great moment. I think every learner wants to feel that.
Yes, and it didn't happen overnight. It took time, daily exposure, and practice. But that first step, realizing my thoughts were in English, gave me huge motivation to keep going.
That's such an inspiring story, Jason. My journey was a little different, but I also had that special turning point when I started thinking in English. When I first learned English, I always studied grammar and vocabulary from books. I knew many words, but when I tried to speak, my brain got stuck. I was always thinking, okay, what's the right grammar? And is this sentence correct? So I sounded very slow and shy.
Yeah, that's very common. Many learners focus too much on grammar rules instead of using English naturally.
Exactly. Then one day, I decided to change my way of learning. I started watching English TV shows without subtitles at first. I understood maybe 30%, but I kept going. I also began keeping a small diary in English. Every night, I wrote just a few sentences about my day. And one morning, I woke up, looked at the sky, and said to myself, "Wow, it's such a beautiful day." And then I stopped and thought, wait, I didn't translate that. It just came out naturally. That was my turning point.
That's such a great example. It shows how daily habits can change the way your brain works with language.
Yes, and from that day I tried to live my life in English. I thought in English when cooking, walking, or even planning my day. The more I did that, the easier it became.
That's awesome, Julia. I think many listeners will feel inspired by your story.
I hope so, because if I could do it, anyone can. It just takes time and practice.
So now, let's take a moment to understand what thinking in English really means. Many learners think it's just about speaking fast or knowing grammar perfectly, but it's actually deeper than that.
Yes, thinking in English means your brain starts processing ideas directly in English, without translating from your native language. For example, if you see a cup of coffee, you don't think, in my language it's called, then how do I say it in English? You just think, coffee, warm, nice smell, all in English naturally. All.
Exactly. It's like your mind creates a small English world inside you. And when you start doing this, speaking becomes faster, listening becomes easier, and even writing feels smoother.
And it's not about being perfect. Your thoughts in English can be simple, short sentences at first like, I'm hungry or the sky is blue. The important thing is that your brain is practicing English directly, not translating.
Yes, that's a key point. Many learners worry about mistakes, but thinking in English is just the first step. It's about feeling comfortable with the language in your mind.
Once your brain starts thinking in English, speaking, listening, reading, and even understanding jokes or movies in English becomes much easier. It's really the foundation of fluency.
Right. And in the next sections, we'll share some practical steps and habits that helped us and can help you start thinking in English too. Now, let's talk about why thinking in English is hard at the beginning. Many learners feel frustrated because their brain is used to their native language. It's natural your brain has been thinking in your first language for years.
Yes, and at first your mind wants to translate everything word by word. You might know the words in English, but when you try to speak or think, your brain pauses to find the right translation. That's why conversations feel slow or stressful.
Exactly. And another reason is limited vocabulary. If you don't know the word for something, your brain freezes. You start thinking, I know the word in my language, but what is it in English? That stops the flow of thinking.
Also, fear plays a big role. Many learners worry about making mistakes, using wrong grammar, or sounding silly. So instead of letting thoughts flow in English naturally, they overthink every sentence.
Yes, and that's completely normal. Every learner faces this. The good news is, with practice and small steps, your brain can retrain itself to think in English without translating.
Exactly. And in the next sections, we'll share the practical steps that helped us do just that, from building vocabulary to practicing daily thinking exercises.
All right, let's start with the first step. Stop translating word by word. This is really important because your brain can only think in English if it stops relying on your native language.
Yes, at the beginning, it's natural to translate, but the problem is that it slows you down. For example, if you want to say, I'm going to the market, and your brain thinks in your language first, it takes extra time to figure out every word in English.
Exactly. So one trick I used was to practice short sentences directly in English. I would look around my room and say simple things like, the book is on the table, or I am drinking water. I didn't think about how to say it in my language. First, I forced myself to think directly in English.
Another tip is to label things around your house in English. For example, put sticky notes on your door, mirror, table, or chair. Every time you see them, say the word in English in your mind. Over time, your brain starts connecting the object directly to the English word, no translation needed.
Yes, that's very effective. And the key is consistency. Even 5 to 10 minutes a day of thinking this way makes a big difference. Slowly, your brain learns to bypass translation and form thoughts naturally in English.
And don't worry if it feels strange at first. Every beginner goes through this. Just keep practicing and your brain will adjust.
Exactly. Once you stop translating, you'll notice speaking, listening, and even writing in English becomes much faster and easier. All right, the next step is build your vocabulary through real-life context. Knowing words is important, but learning them in real situations is what makes thinking in English easier.
Yes. For example, don't just memorize the word apple. Try using it in a sentence, I am eating an apple, or the apple is red. When you use words in context, your brain starts to connect them to real situations, not just a dictionary meaning.
Exactly. One thing that really helped me was watching short videos about daily life like cooking, shopping, or travel. I learned words naturally, and I could remember them because I saw them being used.
Another tip is to label your surroundings. For example, when you see a cup, say in your mind, "This is a cup. I drink tea from it." Or when you see a car, say, "The car is fast." Using words in real-life sentences helps your brain think directly in English.
And don't forget to repeat. Repetition is key. The more you see and use a word in context, the faster it becomes part of your active English, the words you can use automatically when thinking or speaking.
Yes, and remember, it's okay if you make mistakes. What matters is using the words in real situations and connecting them to thoughts in English. That's how your vocabulary grows naturally.
Exactly. Step by step, your brain builds a strong English foundation and you start thinking in English without even realizing it. Now, let's move to Step 3. Practice thinking out loud in English. This is one of the fastest ways to train your brain to use English naturally.
Yes, instead of only thinking silently, try saying your thoughts in English. For example, when you're cooking, you can say, "I am cutting the vegetables." "I need a spoon." "I am boiling water." Don't worry about mistakes. The goal is to get your brain used to English flow.
Exactly. I used to do this while walking outside. I would describe everything I saw. The sun is shining. The birds are flying. I am feeling happy. At first, it felt a little strange, but after a few weeks, it became more natural.
And you can also do it when planning your day. Say in English, "Today, I will study English. I will listen to a podcast. I will write in my diary." This way, your thoughts start forming directly in English instead of translating from your native language.
Another tip: speak to yourself like you're talking to a friend. It doesn't have to be perfect, just honest and natural. Over time, your brain will automatically start thinking in English.
Yes, and the best part is, the more you practice thinking out loud, the more confident you become in speaking with real people too.
Exactly. It's a simple exercise, but it works wonders for fluency and confidence. Step 4 is simple, but very powerful. Immerse yourself in English. The more you surround yourself with the language, the faster your brain starts thinking in English automatically.
Yes, this can be small things like changing your phone or computer language to English, listening to English songs or podcasts, or watching TV shows and movies in English.
Even reading simple English books or articles for 10 to 15 minutes a day helps. Your brain starts noticing patterns, phrases, and vocabulary naturally.
The key is consistency. Daily exposure creates an English environment in your mind, and over time, thinking in English becomes almost automatic.
Exactly. Immersion doesn't mean you need to travel or live in an English-speaking country. It's about creating your own English world wherever you are. Step 5 is fun and very effective. Use English for self-talk and daily decisions. This means thinking or talking to yourself in English about small choices or tasks throughout your day.
Yes. For example, when deciding what to eat, you can say in English, I will make a sandwich. I need bread and cheese. Or when planning your day, I will study English for 30 minutes. I will go for a walk.
Exactly. The more you use English in real-life thoughts, the more your brain naturally switches to English. It's like training your mind to live in English, little by little.
And don't worry about mistakes, self-talk is private, so it's the perfect practice space.
Right. This habit alone can make a huge difference in how quickly you start thinking in English naturally. Now, let's talk about some common mistakes learners make when trying to think in English. Knowing these can save a lot of time and frustration.
Yes, the first mistake is overthinking grammar. Many learners pause and think, is this sentence correct? This stops your thoughts from flowing naturally. Remember, it's okay to make small mistakes. Your brain is still learning.
The second mistake is translating everything in your head. As we said earlier, translating slows you down and prevents your brain from forming direct English thoughts.
The third mistake is expecting instant results. Thinking in English takes time and daily practice. Some learners get discouraged if it doesn't happen immediately. Patience is key.
And another one is not using English in real life. You can study all day, but if you don't try to think or speak in English, your brain won't make the connection.
Exactly. Avoid these mistakes. Focus on small daily habits, and your thinking in English will improve naturally.
Yes, it's all about practice, patience, and persistence, and remembering that mistakes are part of the learning journey. All right, listeners, now it's time for a mini practice activity. This will help you start thinking in English right now.
Yes. Here's a simple exercise. Look around you and describe 3 things in English. For example, say, the chair is blue, or the phone is on the table, or I am drinking water.
Try to do it without translating. Just look at the object and say it directly in English. Even short sentences are perfect.
You can also describe your actions. For example, I am writing in my notebook, or I am listening to a podcast. The goal is to make your brain think in English naturally.
And if you want, try doing this for 5 minutes every day. Gradually, your thoughts will start flowing in English without stopping.
Yes, small daily exercises like this are very powerful. They train your brain and make speaking English feel natural over time.
So, go ahead, try it now, and notice how your brain begins to switch to English mode. Before we finish, let's talk about motivation. Thinking in English may seem hard at first, but every small step counts. Remember, your brain is learning a new skill, just like riding a bike.
Yes, and the real-life benefits are amazing. When you think in English, you speak faster, understand movies, podcasts, and conversations better, and even feel more confident in real situations like traveling, studying, or talking with friends.
Exactly. The key is consistency. Even 10 to 15 minutes of thinking in English daily will make a huge difference over time.
And always celebrate small wins. Every time you catch yourself thinking in English naturally, that's a victory.
Yes, keep practicing, stay patient, and soon thinking in English will feel completely natural. And that brings us to the end of today's episode on how I started thinking in English. We hope you found these tips and stories helpful for your own English journey.
Yes, remember, thinking in English takes time, daily practice, and patience, but every small step brings you closer to fluency. Start with simple exercises, practice out loud, and immerse yourself in English whenever you can.
If you liked this episode, don't forget to subscribe to our English Learning Podcast so you won't miss future episodes packed with tips and practice.
And we'd love to hear from you. Try our mini practice today and share your experience in the comments or with a friend. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and most importantly, enjoy the journey.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Keep thinking in English and keep growing every day.